Good morning. How, how's everyone doing today? Excellent, excellent. I know it's a little bright and early for for most of you. However, as mentioned, I am Nicholas Kelly. Nick is fine. And I'm so happy to be here with you today. So what are we going to do today? We're going to go over a presentation. It's called Revolutionizing Healthcare, Bridging the Gap Between Clinician and Patient. As I always like to say, I am a professional patient with clinical training. And today we're going to go over what that looks like. We're going to explore ideas of how to bridge that gap. We're going to learn a little bit about me, and we're going to have some fun in the process. So first start, who am I besides this dashing, debonair young man? That's right, take it a second, drink it in. I know, this cardigan's crazy, I know. So, I was born March 16th, 1987. I am a Pisces. We have any other Pisces in the room? Yeah, Team Pisces, there we go. Hey, all right now. I was diagnosed with cystic fibrosis when I was 3 months old. Now, this will go into interesting as a part of my story. Why? Not that I was diagnosed at 3 months, not that I was very sick as a child, because most of those things are very common. However, what is interesting is actually it was my mother who diagnosed me with CF. Why? Because 37 years ago, they didn't believe African Americans can have this disease. So as I continued to get sicker, no one would test me. So it was my mother who actually did the research, learned the symptoms, which is astonishing because there was no Google. She had to open books. I know, craziness. So the reason this is important is, although I was too young to understand what that meant then, the ferocity and tenacity she showed was extremely important to how I shaped my life later. I was a high school athlete. I was all state in both. I was all state in wrestling and baseball. As mentioned before, I did my bachelor's in dietetics, my master's in food nutrition. I'm also my internship at BG, so I am a Falcon through and through. EGSU Falcons fly, let's go. So who doesn't love a fun fact? I love a good fun fact. So we'll start there. I have a twin sister named Nicole. No, we are nothing alike. I'm allergic to watermelon. This fun fact is only there because I love telling people that I'm allergic to watermelon, or when they ask me, would you like some watermelon? I say, no, I don't eat that. I don't give them a reason, but it's very enjoyable. If you don't get the joke, ask somebody later. I love traveling. So I've been to Paris, Italy, and Germany for my 18th birthday, and then Paris and London again for my 31st. I've also been to Mexico, and I actually just got back from Morocco, Africa, 2 weeks ago. I've been to 45 of the 50 states. If you're wondering what states I have left, Hawaii, Montana, Idaho, North Dakota, South Dakota. Those middle America states that exist, but do they really exist? Can we prove them? So I was a professional dancer for 12 years. Hip hop, lyrical, and expression. I have an extra vertebrae. This is interesting for no other reason that when we have a saying at my center, when something weird happens, Nick happens. Most people have 6, I have 7. I'll let y'all read that. It was during an epic game of hide and seek. It was a rainy day. Me and my cousin were playing. It was my turn to hide. I had this bright idea. I'm gonna get in the dryer. So I hide in the dryer. I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden the dryer opens. So I do like this cat-like thing, and a blanket comes in. I'm like, ooh, I'm safe. Until it starts. I get a rotation and a half before I push open the thing, and I fall out kind of like this. And my auntie starts yelling, starts hitting me. And I'm like, how are you mad at me? You started the dryer with me inside. Needless to say, we were no longer allowed to hide in appliances. I had a great hiding spot in the kitchen too. It ruins all the fun. So this is me traveling. This is me outside in London, right behind deconstructed Big Ben. And this is me right in front of the Louvre with my Louvre shirt. So cystic fibrosis, the basics. What do we know? The lungs, pancreas, stomach. Those are the things that we focus on. Those are the things that we generally know. It affects the lungs, it affects the pancreas, it affects the GI system. However, what they don't tell you about when you sign up for this disease is that it can affect everything else. Your mental, your relationships, your daily living. CF does not only just affect your physical form, it affects every shape of you. Because of that thick, sticky mucus that gets built up in the body, it affects all those parts. CF has the ability to not only affect your internal organs, but your mind state because of the grind it takes, the mental things. There are also side effects of some of your medications. It is a rabbit hole. We will see how far. I just want you guys to know that's my favorite part of the whole presentation, okay? I want you guys, you have no idea how long it took me to get that little rabbit bouncy thing. It's the little things in life, people. That's what you really need to enjoy, the little things in life. So, living with chronic disease. So, we'll go straight to the talk. The talk is what we know in the CF community, in most chronic disease communities, is that moment that everything changes when you have to tell them you have CF. Those words, hello, I have cystic fibrosis. Those words will change everything because it's at that moment that everyone will start looking at you different, even if they don't plan to, even if they don't intend to, because you have some extremes. You have the person who every cough will seem like you're dying, or every time you cough up blood, you're fine. And everything in between, the people who try to like act super chill about everything, even though they're freaking out inside. Those are the things that you balance when you have the talk. Managing relationships and medications. On average, I take about 56 meds a day between pills, injections, and airway clearance. 56 a day. That's a lot of things to manage. That's a lot of things to operate. Education. Education is one of those things in the sense of finding ways, if you have especially with your younger patients, when they start going into schools. So every state district has their own version of it, but basically you get them connected with like disability services, and you give them everyone has a different number for it, but basically it establishes them so they can have help throughout their school years, and it will follow them all the way till they graduate. So for me, it was extra time. I was given extra time on tests, and that actually followed me all the way through college. So hospitalizations. Hospitalizations is an unfortunate part. Now, I know I was talking to Dr. Saunders yesterday, and some of the hospitalizations are down for pediatrics, which is amazing. That's what you like to see. But they are an inevitability. They will happen. They will happen, occur. For me, I'm admitted about a third of my year. On average, I'm admitted every 3.5 months. For my average length of stay is now 33 days. So knock on wood, I've been out for the longest I've been out. I'm at 5 months, which is the longest I've been out in 6 years. So yay me. So we want to keep that trend. Right now I'm playing with house money. So as long as any longer I'm out, I'm loving it. Future planning. This is something that we didn't think we'd have a conversation about, but now we're at a point where we can. So we'll look into that a little bit later. So my CF chronic disease survival kit. First and foremost, and this is true with anything in life, be informed. The more information you have, the better equipped you are to handle things. Thick skin, get in and get it quick. The world is not a nice place. So it's important to have that thick skin. Adaptable, things change so fast. Things change with your health, things change with your situation. It's so important that you're able to do that. Strong support system. And understand, this is really important because us as the clinicians, it's important for us to often be that support system. Not everyone has supporting families. Not everyone has families who understand. We're not only the clinical experts, we need to be the shoulder experts. We need to be the person that we can rely on, that people can rely on. Find internal passion for external outlets. Internal passion leads to external outlets. So when we find passion, that leads to purpose. Passion is that internal desire Purpose is the external display of passion. And having a routine. Routine is key to success. Finding whatever works for you. Whatever routine kind of works for you to really understand and go far. So what does my CF care look like? First, exercise. Exercise, exercise, exercise. It is important for so many reasons. We'll look at the impact of exercise in a little. Avoid the all or nothing mentality. So often we get in that mind state that if we don't do all of it, all right, we'll skip it. You know, hey, I didn't take my morning meds today, and I missed my afternoon meds. So we're not going to take my night meds. We'll just go ahead and restart tomorrow. But you know what's better than 0? 1. I know, right? Did you see that coming? Cliffhanger. Implement a rest day. For me, that was always a really tough one, but I had to learn that 1 day of rest at home or 2 weeks of rest in the hospital. It became a mentality. It became how to shift your mentality. Avoid the who's sicker game. The only thing that wins in that is the disease. Having a comparative analysis between who's sicker or whose disease is worse or what disease situation is worse is only going to leave you in peril. Avoid the woe is me mind state. You do not have to be a victim. Your symptoms do not have to define you. You do not have to be symptomatic because you have symptoms. And chiropractic. That's something I recently added to my treatment and which has been really beneficial. So that's an important part, especially when you talk about the breathing, loosen that thoracic cavity up and thoracic spine. That's really going to be important to this area. So that's done a lot of good for me. The importance of exercise. Now, these benefits are not just for chronic disease or CF. These are benefits for everyone. The reason exercise is important. So, helps gain weight and weight management. I know most people don't think about that. They think about exercise solely to lose weight, but that's not true. Weight management can help you maintain your weight or gain your weight, depending on what type of exercises you're doing. Improves energy, gets that boost up, get those boosters, you ready to go. Little light jumping jacks in the morning, get that blood pumping, here we go. Helps sleep. Now, this is the thing, because as we talked about, get that blood pumping. It can, so as you wind down, that blood will be pumping and help give you better sleep. Little pro tip, stretch. Get about 5 minutes of stretching in before you lay down for bed. You'll have better sleep as well. Helps concentration, that focus, laser focus. Strengthens lungs. That's just important. The more you strengthen lungs, it helps you improve your cough. It helps you improve your cough, helps you move the mucus. Everything's connected. Helps improve your mood and release stress. Get those endorphins going. You're stressed out, you're having a rough day, pound it out on the treadmill. Get it on the track. Let that release. Helps move the mucus out the lungs. And provides a sense of accomplishment. This one's really big because a sense of accomplishment is a sense of pride, a sense of completion. Especially when you talk about chronic disease, when you have so many people, you're in a situation where they don't have control over many aspects of their life. This is one aspect that not only can bring them joy, it can provide accomplishment. I did this. I can check off this. I was the one. Never underestimate the sense of accomplishment and what it means for your patient's well-being and your patient's mental health. The 3 P's method: passion, purpose, productivity. So what is passion? The burning desire for an item, activity, or trait. Passion is that internal thing that drives you. Passion is the thing that gives you that fire. It drives you. It allows you to want to push farther than your limits. Purpose. Now, many people define purpose in many different ways. However, I define purpose as how passion is displayed. It's the external display of passion. So you find something you are passionate about. And then how you display that passion is what purpose is. And what does that lead to? Productivity. Productivity increases as a byproduct of finding/identifying passion, then utilizing purpose. Now, this is important because when we think of productivity, we often think of the bottom line. We often think of being more productive in a space, an objective, a task. But that doesn't have to be the only way. Productivity can translate to what we produce in the sense of more satisfaction. We can produce more satisfaction. We can produce more happiness, more smiles, more laughs. Everything when we talk about passion does not have to be inside of our professional life. What are we passionate about at home? What do we do to display those passions, purpose? And what does that then? Because one thing that people don't understand is passion, when you have it, it doesn't stop at the door. It doesn't just close at a door. So if you are more passionate in your personal life and you're living and displaying that passion, as you produce more happiness, that translates into your other areas of life. It translates into your work life. There are so many studies that show when you are happier in your well-being, other areas in your life are better affected. So when we have passion, we want to produce, we want to have passion, we want to showcase purpose, and we want to produce or increase our productivity. So take a moment and we'll go I want someone to tell me what something they're passionate about. And I'm going to look around the room. The person who just walked in with the glasses, hey, you get to be the one. Yes, shocker. That's what happens when you walk in my presentations late. What's something you're passionate about? The gym. Okay, what's something professionally you're passionate about? Patient care. Okay, so we look at our passions, the gym. So the passion right there is the activity is for exercise. That's the passion, for working out, for being healthy. The purpose or what that displayed is the gym. That's what the display is. You're displaying your passion for working out and being healthy at the gym. Do you guys understand the difference? Because the passion was initially said it was the gym. That's not the passion. The passion is the internal, what is that internal desire? What is that burning desire? It's to be healthy, to be fit, to be well. How do we display that at the gym? That's what our purpose is. And then what's productivity? Well, productivity, for example, is at the gym is increase reps, increase time, increase days. That's where our productivity looks like. You start talking about timelines, those are when we start seeing our productivity. So the next one, we'll use another one. Somebody give me another one, anybody. Yes. Listening to patients. So our passion is listening to patients. We're gonna say that's our passion, listening to patients. All right, then the now question is, that's our passion, what does that look like, our purpose? So once again, our passion is healthy communication between our patients. Purpose, what are we doing to display that? Active listening skills. We're taking invested interest in our patients' communication. We're taking detailed notes of our patients' communication. And what is that productivity thing? We've built trust through our communication with our patients. We've now identified ways to create trust through our communication. Trust is a big word that'll come up a lot in this presentation because trust and comfort are two of the greatest things we can provide for our patients. We'll do one more. Somebody on this side. I will point someone out. Don't make me point you out. Faith. Okay. So you're passionate about your faith. Perfect. So passionate about faith. What does that look like? How do we externally display that? Maybe it's church. Maybe it's praying. Maybe it's speaking to a higher being. Those are how you display your faith. Or faith in humanity. Maybe it's just faith in humanity. It doesn't have to be that. So if our passion is faith in humanity, having faith, what do we do to showcase that? Random acts of kindness. To showcase being part of the difference. And then what's the productivity in that? What have we increased? We've increased morale. If we're out here having random vac and crowdedness, what are we increasing? We're increasing morale. We're increasing our daily efficacy by having faith, by increasing our praying, by increasing our faith. So these are the important steps. And for you as clinicians, with burnout being so high, everyone's working long hours. You guys are up here listening to this guy talk early in the morning, and then you still have patients to see. You still have rounds to do. You still have notes. Oh my gosh, everyone hates notes. You spend more time charting than you do with patients. It's obscene. But modern healthcare, what can we say? So we all have those trials and tribulations. We all have those grinds. So what is this? Not only the 3P method is not only a way to understand and utilize information, it's a way to help increase and decrease burnout. It's a way to help refine your center sometimes. When you start getting lost in the weeds and forget what you're doing, reevaluate, 3Ps, and really evaluate yourself. As I mentioned, for example, you said the gym. Think about what that passion is, that desire, and then how are we displaying it? If you have a research study that you're super excited about, that you started, you're excited for, you want to put something in for children who are going to make a long-lasting difference. What is that display in? Your research study that not only have you maxed out on your patients, you've now expanded it to other people and other residents and other hospitals. That's what our productivity is. We've now expanded that. And that's a phenomenal thing. So why is this important? Increase patient outcomes. That's first and foremost. As you apply these things, you can have increased patient outcomes. Satisfied employees decreases burnout, decreases turnover, money saved. Some department chairs ain't nothing like money saved. Increased job satisfaction. You enjoy what you do. It becomes easier to come to work. Increases overall happiness and feeling of fulfillment in life. Like I said, that doesn't stop at the door. When you have that, it applies across the board. Increase loyalty and alignment with the company. This is the interesting one because if your company shows these things, you align with them if they align with you, leading to happiness. More productivity equals increased profit. Now we're not a profit. We put an emphasis on that. We are not profit driven. The institution we might work for is a different conversation. But we as clinicians get into being clinicians to bear the long hours and all of the things because we believe in helping people. We believe at the end of the day, people matter. And so that's what we look like. That's what we look for. And making others happier. We want to be the difference. We want to be a positive impact. We want to be a positive influence in those people we take care of. We want to be a positive influence in the people we associate with. We just want to be a positive influence. So some of my passions. Nutrition. I love sports nutrition. It's one of my favorites. It is my favorite form of nutrition. I've done it in all aspects. Weight management. I love weight management. I love helping people strive for their goals. Diabetes. Diabetes is just an interesting one because the different types of diabetes, they create different barriers. CF, I'm not gonna lie to you, I kind of fell into that one. I don't say I love it or anything, but it's there. Teaching, I absolutely love teaching. I've taught business etiquette and success training. I teach speaking, nutrition, and public speaking. Why do I love public speaking? I love sharing knowledge. I love being able to share my expertise and trying to make a difference and putting in information. That's what I love. It comes to one of my favorite quotes. A candle doesn't lose anything lighting another candle. Candle effect. Da 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 da. Remix. Candle effect. Da 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 da. So, the healthy person's mind state. What is this? So we have several areas we're going to look to. First, the word compliance. Compliance, and more importantly, non-compliance, is a word I think you should try to avoid using in your vocabulary when all possible, especially when talking about someone with chronic disease. Why is that? Because when we talk about non-compliance, the idea of non-compliance is just a complete, utter lack of doing. However, when someone is chronic disease, I ask people, everyone here has a job. All of you are at jobs. So are all of you your best version of yourself at work every day? Are you 100% your best? Don't shake your head, yes, your boss is in the room. I will ask, okay? So no, you're not. So how can we expect our patients to be the 100% best version of themselves? Because when you get off the clock, your credentials are still doctor, but you are no longer at work. There is no getting off the clock when you have chronic disease. Sometimes compliance is about information or lack thereof. Sometimes compliance is about taking control over something. So they're not being compliant, they're not adhering. So instead of non-compliant, try to word adherence. Yes, some people might say, oh, they're synonyms, but they do have different connotations, very similar to someone saying, please call me ASAP or call me as soon as possible. They might, we all know that is the shortened version, but the indication is different. Call me ASAP. Call me as soon as possible. So yes, sometimes synonyms are the same, but they have different connotations. This is a time. Try to avoid using non-compliance when talking about your chronically ill patients. The question is, are they hearing? And if they are or are not hearing, do they understand? Do they have the information they need? Perception of a situation. Your day versus their day. Now this was the interesting one, and this is a fun one. So patient starts, if your day starts, we'll call it an 8.5 out of 10. And then your day goes to a 10 out of 10, you're really not going to be able to tell the difference. Maybe a couple more laughs, a couple more smiles, a couple more jigs, you know, all of that. But it's going to be about the same. You're going to feel similar. Now, conversely, a chronically ill patient, their day starts at 4, 3.5. We'll say they started at 3.5 out of 10. Now, you tell that patient, you got to take your meds so you can feel better. But the thing is, when they take their med, they go to a 4.5 out of 5. If they don't take their med, they go to a 3 or 2.5 out of 5. Do you really think they can tell the difference that much? The thing is, at that 8.5, if you start feeling ill, if you don't take that med, you go to a 4. And that means you can tell the difference. That's you imposing your mind state on someone. That's a healthy person's mind state. So then the question is, well, what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to motivate my patients? The motivation becomes trying to find a method that applies to them. What do I mean? Nobody wants to go to the gas station to fill up solely to get to the next gas station. No one wants to take medicine for the sole purpose of taking more medicine. When you go to the gas station, you fill up so you can then go to the mall, go to the movies, go to the beach. That's why you fill up your gas, so you can go do those activities. So the sell for a person has to be, you're taking your medication so you can go out afterwards and go see friends, go to the mall, go to the movies, go to the sock hop. Yes, I just dated a bunch of you in here. It was on purpose. I kids. So those are the things that are important. That's an important aspect to go off of. Finding what that patient needs and finding a way to instill what that patient needs and making that the driving force. Telling someone you're going to feel better is a relative construct, especially when you're dealing with someone who often doesn't feel well. What is better? Better is so subjective, but more importantly, inside of the construct of being sick, what does it really mean? But I can say, if you take that med, you're now being less pain long enough so you can now go see your brother at his soccer game. Oh, well, if that's what it took to take my med, okay. Also, answer the question / situation that was asked and presented. When I tell you clinicians have a terrible, terrible habit of doing this, terrible habit. For example, I have a 12-year-old female with cystic fibrosis who comes into your office and you notice she may be losing a little weight. And so things, by a show of hands, who knows what pancreatic enzymes are and pancreatic insufficiency? So I know what we're dealing with. Okay, so I'll give a quick overview. Pancreatic insufficiency means your body is not making the enzymes needed to break down food. So when you insufficient, it's insufficient in the enzymes needed. So you take enzymes to assist with breaking down food at meal times. So quick overview. Now back to the story. So we have a 12-year-old female who is losing weight or losing some weight and having GI distress, all things that will happen when you're not taking your enzymes. So she tells you, I'm not taking my enzymes. And you ask, why are you not taking them? She says, because when I go out, I don't want my friends to know I have to take pills, so I just don't take them. Now, you go, I completely understand what you're saying. And I need you to understand that enzymes are really important. They're really important in your health. They're really important to make you feel good. And if your friends will understand, because these are important things. Just let them know and they'll really understand, and they can really support you because these are important. But I understand where you're coming from, and I want you to know that it's important that you take these enzymes to ultimately help you. Now, by show of hands, and I want you to be honest, who thought that was a good answer? Man, y'all lying. One of y'all thought that was, y'all lying. Y'all are, huh? Okay, see, then that's what I want, some honesty in this room, okay? It's not, may not be good, but it's what we said before. Because it does exactly what we say, what we've learned. It's attentive. It uses active listening. It uses compassion, and it uses solution, provides solutions. Those are the things that we learn. However, that doesn't answer the question or the situation that was asked. A better answer would be, I completely understand what you're saying. So how about this? When you have your enzymes and you go out, when you're out to eat with them, say, hey, I have to use the bathroom, get up, take a sip of water, go in the bathroom, take your pills, and then come back to the table. And she goes, oh, okay, I can do that. Now, the reason that's a better answer, because it's not our right to tell a person when they can tell their friends about their disease. It's not our right to disclose when they should be comfortable enough to tell their friends about their disease. It's our job as clinicians to use our expertise to provide solutions for them. The answer we gave first time, it covers all those 4 bases. It checks all the 4 bases, but it loses sight of the most important thing, the situation that was asked, the situation that was presented. Do we understand where the difference is between those 2 scenarios? I'm a person who forgets his enzymes all the time. So I genuinely have enzymes in every car, a purse that I'm around. If somebody got a purse, I have enzymes in them. So I go to a restaurant, you got your enzymes? Ooh, you got them though? Yes, yes you do, yes. I put them in every car. Now, the beauty of that is I live in Cleveland, so I don't have to worry about it getting too hot. But if I lived in Arizona, that would be a different conversation because the beads break down. So that is using my expertise to tell someone, okay, I know this sounds like a good idea for you, but it doesn't work where you live at. So let's think of another way that we can, another scenario we can get. That's where coming in, using your expertise and finding solutions based on the problem that was presented. Empathize with the individual and their situation. We are all different. We are all very different. We all have different things that apply to us. We all have different situations. We all have different things that's DEI. We all have these differences. It's important to not only find these differences, try to understand them and ask the questions, be uncomfortable, and see where you can best apply yourself. Supporting your patients. Now, this is for across a multitude of scales, but navigating insurance. Now, many of you may not navigate insurance, but as a team, you're part of the team. Those something to find out with your patients, or in your cases, your patients' families. Insurance is a beast. As many hands on deck is important. Assisting with SSI and SSDI. This is also more towards the social work side, but this is something that a parent is. Any stressor as a part of healthcare that deals with health can be helpful for us to address. We don't have to solve the problem, but we can help address the problem and direct them where they need to go. Because this is all in the health sphere, even if it's not directly medical. But someone's mental is part of their medical. Pharmacy medications. I know we have any pharmacists in here, but yes, you guys are lifelines. Initiate skills and tactics for surviving, not just thriving, creating benchmarks. Now, this one's important, especially for when doctors and clinicians, we like objective data, numbers, facts, PFTs, things that give us numbers. But that's not always the case. How many times have we heard our patients go, "How are you feeling today?" "I'm okay." "How are you feeling yesterday?" "I'm okay, but better than I was yesterday." "But your same level of okay?" "No, I'm like a different level of okay." "So you're not? You're good?" No, I didn't say I'm good though. Now, the thing is, that's subjective information. So one of the things that happened for me is I was having a lot of that issue. I couldn't really articulate at what point. I just knew when I was in the hospital, I wasn't healthy enough to go home, but I was healthier than when I came in. But that middle ground became so great, especially when you're talking about me, who spends so much time in the hospital. So what happened? One of my social workers helped me create benchmarks. And now I have objective data that I can use my benchmarks. So one of those is sick sleep. So how often am I sick sleeping? So what is sick sleep for me? That is the moment when my body is so tired it has to crash. It can no longer sustain itself being up. This is really important in the hospital because I'm not doing anything. So there's no reason at 3 p.m. that my body needs to shut down and lay down. So I can see how many days in a row I'm sick sleeping. That's objective data I can use. Exercise. So I used to do, by being a dancer, I would do how many minutes can I do at moderate to intense exercise? Or in my case, moderate to intense dance. How long? The goal was always 3 minutes. That was the length of basically a song. I should be able to dance for a song. So if I'm at 30 seconds, I'm at a minute 30 intervals. Another one is how fast my heart rate recovers during my high burst activity. That's something that's directly numbers based. So these are examples of benchmarks that I'm able to use that now create it. Now your patients, that might be different in any of your patients, but help them create their benchmarks. What do they do normally that they feel they can't do? Not just, sometimes, hey, you used to be able to play sports, now you're feeling like you can't. Well, what part of it can't you do? Did you used to run a 5-minute mile and now you're running a 10-minute mile? So what's our goal? Do we want to get you back down to 7? Now we're not running 7 miles in the hospital, but we now can do something that gauges that. I wasn't able to lay flat. Now that's because that's always a pressure, that lung pressure. Well, maybe we want to see if you can lay flat 3 nights in a row, 3 consecutive nights in a row. Those are objective data. We can now help create benchmarks. So it's going to help take stress off that patient and their parent because they can give you more than just, I don't know, and they get frustrated. And it takes a lot of pressure off you because now you have more than just saying the patient felt okay today, but they were like regular okay, not like super okay. DEI. DEI is really important. So the thing I want to focus on is DEI. So we look at avoid preconceived notions, judgment, ask the questions that will help understand culture and living. That one's really important. Asking those tough questions and being okay to say, I don't know. Or being okay to say, if you make a presumption, because everyone here will make a presumption. Everyone here will make an assumption based on their own preconceived notions, their predetermined bias. We all do it. We all human. Own it. own it and let the person know, excuse me, that was not based on my own thought. I apologize. Please tell me this. Because you could ask someone, what are your pronouns? What are your pronouns? It's like seven words. Okay, maybe 4 words. Maybe 4 words. Even better, 4 words that can change the entire dynamic of a conversation. 4 words that can change an entire dynamic of a situation. May not seem like a lot, it may seem minimal, but having those conversations, asking those questions help build trust and, what's that other word? Comfort. There we go. Somebody was listening. High five to you. Trust and comfort. That's something it's helping build. And that's really important. Building trust, building comfort. Having these conversations are going to be really important. Figuring out the values based on their personal dynamics. What's important to them? As we mentioned over here, faith. What does that look like? Understanding. Okay, maybe medication times interferes with their prayer time. So how do we come in? How do we navigate that? Maybe it's as simple as saying, we're going to move the medication time. That's a possibility. Have the tough conversations. It's okay. You have to be willing to be uncomfortable. It is uncomfortable to navigate things you are unknown. It is uncomfortable to be able to say, I don't know. It's uncomfortable to go, so why is this an issue? And understand, and this is an important one. When you're talking with these people, whether it be minority population, whatever minority population you might talk to, it's important to not say, I understand your plight, but I understand why there is a plight. That is a very crucial difference. I understand your plight versus I understand why that there is a plight. Because in reality, most people, think about this room. Most people will not understand my plight. I'm a minority in multiple ways. I'm a minority as a Black male in this country. I'm a minority as a Black male with cystic fibrosis. I'm a minority as I have 2 rare mutations. I'm a minority in my profession as my profession is 92% Caucasian. I'm a minority 4 times over. I love being the outlier. You do not understand my situation, but you can understand why there is a situation. You can understand that being a Black male in this country provides me at a minority status and gives me very unique experience than other ethnicities in this world. You can understand that exists. You can understand, especially you even understand more. You have a feeling of understanding as I am a minority in my profession, and many of you might be minorities in your profession. Especially if you start talking maybe some specialties. The percentage of X, Y, and Z is very different. So you can understand that exists. You may not understand my explicit situation, but you understand why their plight exists. You understand that it does exist. You understand that we have parallels in our plights, but you do not understand my plight. You do not live my plight. You do not walk my shoes. Does that make sense, the difference? Because that's going to be a really important thing when you start talking, especially marginalized communities, if you go in those communities, because they don't want to hear, excuse my thing, they don't want to hear the old white man saying what it's like to be a Black man in the hood. That's not what they want to hear. They want you to understand that it is difficult, though, and why we have these issues. So the importance of research. Research is extremely important for a lot of reasons. One of the biggest things is being what matters in research. One of the things that matter most in research is the lack of representation. That goes right along with DEI. In research, people don't see people who look like them, so you have to be the ones that not only instill confidence in them, you have to be the one to understand that these people not only don't see themselves, there is inherent mistrust for good reason. That's the other thing to identify. Mistrust exists for good reason. It's more than just Tuskegee. There's a lot of reasons that people mistrust research. So you have to identify and understand that and say, look, if I was you, I wouldn't trust it either. But this is why I want you to trust it. This is why I want to put more representation so people are looking for people like you so we can help more people like you. So CF and modulators. So I'm going to go over this quickly, but the thing I want to point out is, for those who don't know, modulators are a triple drug combination that helps to affect some of the underlying causes of CF. And one of the things that's most important is, one of the ones that are big is Trikafta. So it's a triple combo drug. So Trikafta is as known as a game changer for many patients. Some will call it miracle drug. Some will say it's changed their life. And some it won't have effect for it. There's a whole range. But the important thing about Trikafta is understanding that it is giving people hope for the future. And hope is one of the most powerful things a person can have. And as for me, if you want to know my Trikafta single, I am status, I am Trikafta single. So I'm out here looking to mingle. If you know something, you know, and I'm sliding your boy's DM, holla at your boy, you know. So because I have two rare mutations, so I do not qualify for Trikafta. But that's okay, because I have seen what it can do and how it can help the people that I love and the people I know. That also leads into our future planning. You're able to do these things that many people never thought they would. They're starting to build families, buy houses. They're starting to worry about things like Roth and his IRA. I don't even know who that is, but they're starting to worry about him. So I am more than just a disease. So that's me dancing, me as a poet. I am a poet. I'm a photographer. I'm a DJ. I'm an artist. I am also a co-author and co-illustrator of children's books. This is Miss Messy Susie Magoo. So that first book is over the huff cough or the cuff cough. We reiterated. Myself and one of my CF nurses wrote it. I co-illustrated it. And this one is on the respiratory meds. So that is albuterol owl, hypertonic hippo, Dornase dolphin, and antibiotic aardvark. Still more. I'm a fashion designer. My hat, my shirt, that's actually my double brief shirt, first shirt I've ever designed. Even more. This is my cookbook. This will be out. This is actually, I have some copies with me, you know, but I'll let you know links, great Christmas gifts, you know. But it's a high calorie cookbook. It's called No Need for Seconds. I have been able to be more than just a disease. I pride myself on being more than just a disease. So our greatest attribute is our mentality. That is the single most important thing on any one person can have. And this is not just about disease, this is about anybody. The single greatest thing any of us have is our mentality, how we approach a situation. It's our responsibility as clinicians to guide our patients to success. That's important. It's our responsibility to guide them to success. CF is no longer a death sentence, with more than half the CF population being over the age of 18. Give that a round of applause. And the median life for someone this was 2022, was 56. It actually just went up to 62. So when I was born, it was 21. So yes. And CF makes you a survivor, not a victim. Maria, one I wrote the books with, she always told me, Nick, you have CF, CF does not have you. That is the mentality we approach. That is the mentality we have. So with that being said, I'm going to open it up for questions.
Nick, thank you so much for an inspiring talk. And you're just getting up early is worth it when it's somebody who's so engaging. Thank you. One of the things it was really more of a comment. A lot of people come and present the problems, but one of the things that's most useful is when people model the answers and the right thing. So I think especially for me as an old person and for many of the young people in the audience, it's really nice to hear you model the language that we can use to help identify with our patients more and connect more. So thank you so much for that. That's really all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nick, thanks for a great talk. So I think the first time I took care of you was 2003 or maybe in that area. I was a young faculty member. What would you want me to know? Because you've been in the hospital a lot. What would you want me to know as a young faculty member on a patient who's in the hospital so frequently? What could I have done better or different?
So the question is, what would we want to know, or any young faculty as someone who spends a lot of time in the hospital? I think the biggest thing I always want people to know as someone who spends a lot of time in the hospital is help them understand that once they understand they have to be there, it makes the time go by so much better. If you're staring for the door, it makes being there so much harder. And it might sound subtle, it might sound simple. Oh, you have to be there. No, like allow them to give them tools. For example, I don't wear real clothes in the hospital. I don't wear shoes the entire time I'm in the hospital, except when I have to do physical therapy and shows. These yells at me for not wearing shoes. But other than that, I don't wear real shoes in the hospital because it helps my mentality to be there. So because CF is a weird thing where the night before I get in the hospital, I was at home until 5 o'clock in the morning, you know, and then I went and got admitted. But because we have that ability, it's one of those things that makes it harder to be there. So as a young clinician, one thing I always want to tell people is remind them that the reason they're there is not only to get better, but how to mentally be in there. Give them tricks. And one of those tricks is do things that's different from your outside life. Create it like a vacation home. You're not on vacation, but create it like a vacation home. Kick your feet up, have your things, bring in the things that you enjoy that bring you comfort. And understand that we'll do what we can to make you comfortable. And I have a wall of cereal. Bring people cereal. And gummies. Bring them cereal and gummies. That's also like be accessible to them. Next question.
Hey, I'm a fellow dietitian, so we were super excited when we saw a
Team RD,
dietitian
baby.
talking.
Yeah.
So, thank you for presenting. But I kind of going off of your hospitalizations and thinking about further education. So I'm in the genetics metabolism department, and we have people with chronic illness who do pursue further education. So maybe what advice do you have, or speaking a little bit about your experience, going to grad school, doing an internship, stuff like that, when you're kind of battling or juggling your chronic illness?
Okay. So as an RD, and if you deal with people in the hospital setting, I'm gonna give you this little nugget. If they get thrush really bad, lemon heads. Have them eat lemon heads before meals. It'll cut the thrush taste so they can eat enjoyably. So that's a little pro tip for everybody. Lemon heads. Now to the question. So as I mentioned earlier, those disabilities that go through for college, that's going to be really important because it allowed me to take my test in the disability center. It gave me flexibility. Also, get a letter from your doctor starting at college that says you're able to miss class and there's a longer story to this one, I won't go into it, but make sure it also says you can be late to classes. Like that's gonna be I stress you that is a pivotal part of the letter. It has to say you're able to miss classes because of health and be late to classes because of health. So that would be a huge one. As far as internships, establish your internships early. Let them know that you might need flex time, but you're willing to make it up. So also, if depending on the internship, try to build in like, if you can, avoid the back-to-back-to-back. Build in like a 3 to 5 day buffer just in case you have to make up a couple days. And most internships are okay with it because usually you're going into a rotation unless they want you to see a specific doctor, but normally you can get away without having to follow a specific doctor on a specific rotation. Usually just, you're doing a cardiac rotation, any cardiac person will cut work. So those are two very important things that I suggest that helped me a lot in my rotation, my grad school, my undergrad, and for my internship.
We have a question online that generally asks, how do we meet patients where they're at in terms of their identities? How do we, in order to improve our communication, obtain sort of identity demographics? What are the right ways to ask those questions in order to be able to build rapport?
So that's a great question. What do we do to to help identify with our identities or a patient's identity? It starts with asking the question, what are your pronouns and how would you like to be identified? It's okay to be direct when you don't know, because then they will tell you. And then you can say, okay, how would you like to be addressed? So introduce yourself first though. Hey, I'm Nick, my pronouns are he and him. How would you like to be addressed? And now, it may not come out, it's not gonna come out every time. I can tell you, like, it's just not natural. That's not how we haven't been trained to introduce ourselves like that. But when you get in a dynamic in a setting, when you go inside of clinic room, that might be a time to have those conversations and dynamics, especially if the first time you're meeting a patient. Or there's a team, you know, especially if it's long clinic visits, 5 different people usually have been in that room before you step foot in it. Somebody on the team help you out. But those are being direct with those questions. Hey, I'm X. Always address yourself first so people understand, like, this is me and I want to also give you, like, versus saying, hey, what's your pronouns? You can say, hey, I'm Nick, I'm he, him. What about you? How would you like to be addressed? So you don't actually have to ask them what their pronouns are. You can just say, how would you like to be addressed? They might say they, them. They might say just as Frank. Okay. All right, Frank. Hey, how you doing? Like, I don't like being called Nicholas. I prefer being called Nick, unless it's like professional type setting. I go by, but I still go by Nick. That's why I said Nicholas Kelly. Nick is fine. So that's the same way. Hey, I'm Jim. How would you like to be thanked? I'm Nick. So similar way.
Thank you so much. That is all the time we have for this morning. But if we have follow-up questions online, we'll be happy to share them with you. Can we get a round of applause for Nick, everyone?
So this is gonna be all my contact information. If anybody wants to check out any of my stuff, that's my contact information. I'm always accessible. And then I have a dream. So I just want people to say none of us are immune to the trials and tribulations of life. And I appreciate everyone for taking their time out to strive to be better clinicians, strive to be active parts of the medical community, and most importantly, striving to be better individuals. Once again, my name is Nicholas Kelly. Thank you for having me. No problem. Thank you.
Good job.